Okay, guys, welcome to this week's Open Tabs. Talking about all the internet news that's taking up space in our brains and Google Tabs. Um, okay, so the first thing we wanted to hop to today is talking about like what the summer trends will be. We know the internet loves a good seasonal theme, particularly summers. We have Brat Summer, Hot Girl Summer, Barbie Summer. And
Oh, and
Megan,
and Megan was on the record last year with
mhm,
Siren Summer.
yep, Siren Summer. So this Friday, no, sorry, this Thursday, this podcast episode will be out on Friday. So if you're listening, head over to our Substack and it'll be fresh. Megan is releasing her summer trend predictions for this year, summer 2026. So Megan, I just wanted to like you to do a little teaser and how you came to these trends.
Yeah. So basically, it's like a lot of reading what's happening in culture and like what's residual, dominant, and emergent. And also what's evolving from last year. Like last year, we talked about Siren Summer, and it was more than just the aesthetics of sequins and the sea. It was also about women going deep into themselves and the depths of like humanity and figuring all of that out. And so looking at this year, we're in a really interesting spot where, we're like on the brink of a world war and people are leaning more towards what I'm going to call a summer of love. Because this is kind of reminding me of like the turn of the decade from the 60s to the 70s, where it's kind of like peace and love vibes. Like, let's not go to war. Let's resist. Let's bring some color back into the world. And so I think that's going to be kind of the macro um, kind of vibe for the summer. And then they'll look back to the 60s and 70s. We've already kind of seen this with Harry Styles, Kiss All the Time, Disco
Mhm.
occasionally. So I think it won't be super duper period accurate. It'll be kind of the modern interpretation of what that period was like. But think like hippies, color, dopamine dressing, daisies, bell bottoms, crochet, loud patterns, that type of thing. And then that will be kind of our macro, like prominent theme, but we also tend to have micro summer themes as well. Like last year, we also had like Sardine Girl Summer on top of like
Yeah.
Siren Summer.
Mhm.
So we also are going to highlight some of those. We've got my personal favorite is Sophia Coppola Summer, which I think the kind of behind the scenes there is Sophia Coppola has a really interesting way of taking a woman that we kind of all know and showing you a different side of her and like that she's actually smarter and more interesting and more thoughtful than you thought. And so I think we're going to see a lot of that where it's like the girly aesthetic, but then if you dig in, it's like, oh, there's actually a lot of there. And one person who's already doing this is Olivia Rodrigo. She just released a music video for her new song Drop Dead that she recorded at Versailles. And it's very Sophia Coppola's Marie Antoinette. So we wrote this before the video dropped, but it just goes to show that you're right on the money. And then another one is Americana maxing, which I think is like going to speak to the nostalgia of the American dream before the recession. Recently, one trend we saw in the space was the Tuscan mom aesthetic,
Mhm.
being a thing on social media. And so I think it'll be more of those micro trends from that era will kind of come into the fore. Also, hot dogs are the summer staple. So just a lot of that.
What? Wait,
Baseball,
why?
yeah, baseball, like a lot of that.
Mhm.
And then the one that is I'm calling the most niche is Bug Girl Summer. Was my summer vibe last year when I was like really into butterflies and caterpillars, which I still am into. I actually have some caterpillars right now, but I'm making it less of my brand this summer. But I think that as people are looking to touch grass, they're also going to like do all that comes with that, go out there and get gardening. And also when we talk about Gen Z, and animals and critters and things like that, they tend to gravitate towards ones that are so ugly or weird looking that they're cute again. And bugs are the perfect encapsulation of that. So I think bugs will also be a huge thing this summer. So those are my summer vibes predictions. And if you read the piece, we've got a lot of collages and visuals
Mhm.
and references so that you can really immerse yourself in each of these aesthetics for summer.
I am so excited about this. And I'm laughing in real time, like, hearing you sort of talk about each one and, like, immediately going to, like, the parallels in my own life or things that I've seen, and I'm curious, Megan, because I feel like last year was so water forward.
Yeah.
Do you still see water sort of being a part of any of the micro trends or tied to it?
I think more so with Americana maxing, I think the beach will be very important there. Specifically, like the California beaches of like the Beach Boys type summer of surfing and hang 10 and that type of thing. But Siren Summer is still very much relevant this summer. So, like, the water that you will see will be in that vein. Like, Target did a whole collection that's very like seashell vibes. Zara Larson is like the Siren Summer girl, and like she is releasing a new album. So the water is still there. It's still happening.
Okay.
But I think we're also seeing a little bit more movement towards more earth and
I
air.
was just gonna say, I was gonna say earth with, like, land and gardening.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to know too, like, I feel like, again, being the elder millennial in this trio, like, sometimes I'm like, I don't know if it's just because of, like, where I'm in my life or whatever, but I
Yeah.
have been getting fed so much advertising that is gardening related, like, and again, we're on the precipice of, like, a home renovation probably in the next, like, 3 to 6 months, and
Mhm.
one of the things I really want here in California is what we had in New York, which was a garden, and it's so funny, there's these, like, branded wooden gardening baskets that every time I open my Instagram, they're like, "You need one?" And I'm like, "I do." I took a screenshot, I sent it to my husband, he's like, "It's a little preemptive." We need the garden first. But it's just funny, I'm like, I feel like Bug Girl Summer is very spot on. Like that, and the Americana maxing. I think that's really interesting. My son has been coming home too, and he's in second grade, and he's been coming home. Jeff had been traveling my husband had been traveling all week, and he gave our kids, like, these notebooks from this conference, and Wally went and drew all these flags of, like, countries. And I'm like, "Oh my god, like, you." And it's so funny because it's like, he doesn't really I know they were talking a little bit about, like, world affairs and whatnot, but he, like,
Yeah.
drew all of these countries' flags, and I was like, "Oh, this is so interesting." And he keeps asking if, like, certain places are a country, or is it a state, or is it a city, or, like, whatnot. It's just, like, a lot of conversation around geography, and
Yeah.
I don't think it's just second grade. Like, I think there's, like, just like you said, like, there's just greater awareness of America versus
Mhm.
other places and differentiating and wrapping one's head around that.
Yeah, there's been the macro trend there's been a decline over the past, like, 10 years in American exceptionalism that's kind of, like, been realized, I feel like, very recently, but that's also come with, another trend of AmericaCorps, where around the world, they, like, kind of people like the same way like people get obsessed with like Paris here, they'll get obsessed with AmericaCorps. So they'll like be like, "Oh, look at my Trader Joe's bag," and it's like cool that they
Right.
have a Trader Joe's bag, or like they'll have like a Yankees hat, and then they like dress AmericaCorps. So even that becoming an aesthetic that people were adopting outside of the U.S. is like now that's going to become something that we within the U.S. start to
That is
adopt
so
ourselves. Yeah,
Did you get have you guys ever noticed when you go to an international place, they'll have, like it'll like a sandwich shop or something, and it'll be
Mhm.
like this, it'll be like the American, and it's like it's
Yeah.
always like something, like, shoved with french fries and, like, 4 beef patties.
Yes. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, and also it's interesting, this is also a lot of what happens online is informed by, uh, exchange student culture. So there was, like, something a few years ago where there was an exchange student who's like, "I want the American pajama bottoms. You guys all have these specific plaid pajama bottoms." And they, like, went hunting to all the stores, and then everyone's like, "What are they talking about?" And then once they located them, they're like, "Oh, yeah, she's right. We do all have those pajama bottoms." So even, like, some of these things that we don't recognize are America core because of globalization and the internet, they've been exposed to us as, like, "This is distinctly you guys." And, like, now we're,
Yes.
like, taking it on and being like, "Yep, AmeriCorps, this is something we're doing." So also,
Meanwhile,
like,
we're like,
camo.
we want to be Parisian girls.
I'm sure you guys have seen camo is huge. That's a big part of Americana maxing, and it doesn't have to mean, like, that you're it doesn't mean anything about your identity or that you hunt, just that you're Americana maxing.
I love that. Okay, well, I can't wait to see the
Yeah.
piece.
Yeah, it's, very good. If I was going through it this morning and loading it into Substack. Um, okay, next topic. We talked about this last week, the Alix Earle v. Alex Cooper discourse. So if you're not looped in, I recommend going back to our previous week's episode, but TLDR, Alex Cooper of Call Her Daddy fame, posted a TikTok, calling Alex Cooper, you could say, like, her former protege. She had signed her to the Unwell Podcast Network, and then there was an uncoupling about it. From there, we don't know why exactly. But she basically said, "You're, like, reposting shady TikToks about me, and if you have a problem, say it." And that was that well over a week ago, I think, or about a week
Yes,
ago?
it was Monday after Coachella weekend one.
So it's been over a week.
Okay.
Megan has the timestamp. Um, and Alix Earle commented, "Okay on it." And since then, it's basically been crickets. She posted a video of, like, her friends filming her reacting to Alex Cooper's TikTok. Um, but I think just yesterday she
Can I
posted.
say she posted the exact video we said we wanted? Like, when we were on the episode, I was like, "I wanna see Alix Earle reacting to this, waking up, her sister showing it to her. She's hungover from Coachella." And then, like, 2 days later, that exact video got posted. I
Yeah,
sent
you
it to
have
Emma. I
to
was like,
pull the
"Yes,
quote from
yes."
Megan.
We need to get that on the record. And then so she posted that reaction video, and then it was crickets on her TikTok until yesterday, I believe, where she posted a video of her pole dancing in a pole dancing class, and basically said, "You guys will get all the tea, but, like, not yet." And I feel like what she was saying there was like, I feel like it'll be on her Netflix show, which is currently
Yeah.
filming. So we're gonna have to wait a while for that. But so people have been weighing in. Melissa, you flagged Dave Portnoy has started a new series. If you
I know
want
my
to talk about
my new favorite show, Tea by the Sea, which again, I just wanna say as a side note, like, it's not obviously the central focal point of this saga. Um, I think Dave has done a really good job of, like, creating a franchise for himself and, like, a space for him to be a part of the conversation and not take away from it and to just add to it. We were sort of, you know, like, he tends to do a great job with this kind of stuff. Same thing with, like, pizza. It's like he, like, one bite, like, slice, and it's like he's really sustained that. So he has, like, a really good sense of how to do stuff, and I think that this is so creative and, like, again, he knows all the players involved fairly well, and so his opinion is really important, and Megan, I don't know if you wanna speak on this, but Megan had a really good sort of reaction when I was bringing this up about how this is, like, likening it to news coverage, actually.
Mhm.
Yeah, I said it was almost like there's a storm happening and he's reporting from the scene of the storm and telling us, like, what it's like and how it feels
The
and, like
beach. He's at the beach.
yeah,
He's on location.
exactly, like, he's on location in the group chats that, like, are discussing this drama and where it's all taking place, so I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I mean, I
Mhm.
was just gonna say, like, I think that, like, oftentimes when stuff is happening in culture or there's, like, a discourse, brands are always asking, like, "How do we get involved? Like, what do we say?" Or, like, even, we work with a lot of high profile people through UTA and, like, a lot of times people are asking, "Okay, like, this is happening over here. I have a point of view. How do I get involved?" And I think that this is a really good example of somebody who is, like, tangentially involved and has actually, like, created a whole content, like, lane and franchise for himself that is of value and can stand alone too, which is, like, pretty cool.
I think this is also just, like, so Barstool, like, how this entire situation came about because Alex Cooper was obviously, like, brought up in Barstool. Dave Portnoy, Barstool discovered Call
It's like
Her
the Wizard
Daddy.
of Oz, yeah.
Yeah, and gave her her platform, and, like, I don't really follow Barstool, but I feel like their tentacles are, like, in everything, so it will come up on my For You page, and, like, the internal culture at Barstool is very much, like, them calling each other out publicly on social media, and then, like, then Dave Portnoy will, like, tweet about 2 of his employees fighting and, like, stir it up, and then it'll be, like, them in the office confronting each other in person the next day. So I feel like even Alex Cooper posting that TikTok, calling Alix Earle out directly felt very Barstool to me. Um, and also, in addition to, like, Dave Portnoy, who is, like, reacting and putting in his 2 cents from, as Melissa said, the beach, he's on the beach. Brianna Chicken Fry, who is another
Yeah.
Barstool personality, posted an entire podcast episode, I wanna say yesterday or maybe the day before, basically saying, like, taking Alix Earle's side and airing all of her grievances with Alex Cooper, which is, I mean, I don't know how valid her her issues were. Basically, she had a similar friendship podcast breakup, and Alex Cooper signed her former podcast host.
Race, right? I think
Yeah.
Race, yeah.
Yeah, and she is pissed about that. And it was interesting because I feel like the public discourse was largely on Alix Earle's side. Um, I like we talked about last week, I feel like people are just kind of tired of Alex Cooper, or, like, annoyed with her. They don't think her, like, journalism is good enough, so they were kinda primed for her to have beef
It's
with
such a
somebody.
I think it's like an unfair pile on, honestly. Like, I think that there are without knowing all of the information, but, like, I think that, Alex Cooper is a really good business person and or good or just successful.
Cutthroat,
And I
ruthless.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I think that there's, definitely elements of I feel like like we were talking about earlier as we assessed tradwifery. Like I think you really have to separate all the different pieces of it. And I think that, there's jealousy. I think like she's so successful. I think she, ended up sort of outmaneuvering Sophia Franklin at that point in her career. And I do think it's interesting too. I think we talked about this last week too, but like the toast was saying, like, where are all the daddies? And like, where's the daddy gang? And it was interesting sort of hearing them talk about like the evolution of Alex Cooper and Alix Earle's online audiences in that Alix Earle is so like forthcoming and with her personal life and whatnot. And so people have like her followers have like a real emotional connection to her. Whereas Alex Cooper has sort of moved away from that. Like she's much more traditional journalism and whatnot. And you really just don't know what's happening in her personal life, which is definitely by design, but it it affects the fandom. And so like they were saying it's just interesting when you open up like the comments, it's kind of like, well, there's a lot of people who are like advocating for Alix Earle and not showing up as you would think for Alex Cooper, even though when she goes on tour and does stuff, like people are buying tickets. So like she does have fans, of course. Um, but I just want to say I don't think like obviously we have to hear what happened and we will all tune into the Netflix special to hear that. And I think we need to know what the details are, but like I don't know. I feel like I don't feel like as angry or like canceling or anything toward Alex Cooper as I think like some of the internet is sort of implying.
Yeah, and I actually think that that's part of this is my favorite type of drama where it's low stakes interpersonal drama where it's
Mhm.
like
Low
no
stakes.
one's going to jail, no one's getting fired. Like at the end of the day, they're both be fine and they're both going to get to continue influencing. Like that's why it's like fun to discuss this one. But I also think that what's interesting in the way that this is being consumed is it's very much like a reality TV show for the social media audience, where like this is the kind of beef that the housewives have. And this is also kind of how you are diagnosing the problem of Bravo, where it's like the drama becomes about the business of being an influencer, whereas they've just cut straight to the chase of like, we have drama about the way that we are influencers differently than each other and how that didn't work out in our partnership. And like that's compelling to people. But I don't know if it'll be compelling in 6 months when the show comes out still. So I'm interested to see if Alix is going to address anything in the meantime to keep the discourse going, or if it'll just be like, wait and see.
Mhm.
And again,
Yeah.
Megan, I don't know, like, we were also talking, right? Like, there's been more recent development
Mhm.
on Alex Cooper outside of this
Yeah.
specifically. And I was just reading, I think it was on Demois, that Demois had heard a lot. Like, she has a take that a lot of publications actually were sitting on this story of like, of this is specifically around Alex Cooper and her husband, Matt Kaplan's like company, like production company. Um, and that there's just like, just issues there. I don't know if it's like, I don't know. I can't detail them. I didn't go in depth on this, but this idea that like a lot of different publications were sitting on this story and that, maybe stirring up this public sort of beef with Alix Earle was a way to distract from this
Mhm.
maybe coming down the pike, or this happened organically and all these publications had the story ready and just all released them. But it is sort of interesting because there is like a lot, namely Bloomberg
Mhm.
came out with it today. Like there's a lot of conversation around that, which is so interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is interesting. If it was
Um,
reactive a la Dave Portnoy and Tea by the Sea, or if it was coming and that's why this is even a thing.
you know what? This is and context for those if you don't know, last night Bloomberg released an article about
Thank you for
Alex
grounding us, Emma.
about Alex well, I had this as a potential topic. Anyway, so I had my bullet points ready. Um, Bloomberg released an article about Unwell, Alex Cooper and her husband, Matt Kaplan's production company. And it was really more of a focus on him and his like inappropriate behavior with unwell employees. He's been accused, allegedly, has screamed at unwell employees and crew, and that people are just like very uncomfortable with his leadership style. Um, and it's interesting, like, when Alex Cooper, first released her video last Monday, people were this is, like, so funny, looking at her nails to try to find out when she shot the video, and people were
Oh,
studying her.
wow. That's
Yeah. So she had, I think, like, nude short nails, and people saw that first weekend of Coachella when she would have filmed that video, she had different nails. And so people, like, scrolled back and they're like, "I think she filmed this, like, maybe, like, a few weeks ago or something." And that would go to the point of, like, maybe she had this video in the barrel and knew some news was gonna come out and as a distraction decided to release it. But, I don't know, it feels like now it's like pile-on, and I feel like this Unwell story is, like, trending even more because people are already talking about her and kind of pissed off at her. But this is more
We
about
are not I just wanna say we are not a pile-on on Alex
Yeah,
Hooper. I think
Low stakes interpersonal drama.
yeah.
Like,
exactly. Low stakes,
neither of these
interpersonal drama,
women need to go to the gulag for not liking each other. They're
100%.
allowed to fight.
And you know what? I hope they both get many followers. And
Exactly.
you know what? And I hope some people, like, become fans of each of them, you know? I also don't think this isn't giving, like, team versus team either, you know? Like, I know that,
Yeah.
like, I've heard Lex versus Licks, and, like, I don't know,
I
if
mean,
you
people, I think that just speaks to like the reality TVification of it all, of like
yeah.
people want to take a side and they want lines to be drawn. I wouldn't say I'm team Alex Earl, but I feel like I am siding with Alix Earle on this, mainly just because she's in her
As of
own
now, you
space.
don't have all the information yet, though. Like, I think we can, like, continue the discourse and tracking as the information unveils itself.
Yes. Yes.
But I'm just yeah, I agree. Like, I agree. I'm, like, definitely Earl leaning,
I think
but
it's important to keep the stakes in mind here, where it's like, at the end of the day, being team Alex to me means I'm gonna like Alix Earle's TikToks about this and not Alex Cooper's. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna like send death threats. I'm not going to boycott. I'm not gonna call for them to like lose their careers. And I think
uh,
as long as you keep that in frame, like it's all
also
fun and
as a
whatever.
content creator, Alix Earle is unbelievable. She's an
Mhm.
amazing content creator. Like, I think she's, like she could teach, like, a course in it. She's so good. Um, and I don't think you can compare them with that either. Like, I think as, like, a TikTok personality, Alix Earle's in her own lane, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I even think her response to this kind of like, I'm beyond, like, making a TikTok responding to this, like, "You're gonna have to watch my Netflix show."
No, I know. I think
And
that's
she also
kind of
didn't she
cool.
give a didn't like a someone close to the source talk to people, which like everyone knows that that's
Oh,
code for
really?
they talk to people.
Well, way to, like I mean, again, it's changing day by day, and I think heading into last weekend, a lot of people were sort of like, "Where's Alix Earle's response?" kinda thing,
Mhm.
and I think, like, to then take this and, like, pivot it into her show is, like and as long as people aren't, like, annoyed or, like, she's getting, like, negative feedback, because I guess she could always release something at any time. So her, like, risk is, like, low, and so it's really just, like, taking a temperature of the internet, and, like, she also put out so much, like, branded content. It was, like, she put out, like, her Coachella vlog, she had her Real Actives stuff. So, I think
That's what I was gonna say. Maybe there's like a restock or like
Mhm.
something coming and she's just gonna save it for that because like she knows there's gonna be a traffic bump. Like
I'm
I
into it.
think
Yeah,
she'll
put it in your
respond
pocket.
when it suits
Yeah,
her to respond.
yeah, put it
I
in your
feel
pocket.
like she should do it. She has her podcast, Get Real with Me, which is all about, like, getting ready with her, which is
Her thing.
she adopted that when she knew she was coming out with a skincare line, so, like, now in her podcast, it's her and her guest using her skincare and then doing their makeup while they shoot the shit, which is so smart.
Okay.
Um,
Wait, along the same not this same topic, but, like, curious for your thoughts on, like, response in terms of being on the spotlight. What do you guys think of Ciara's response by giving an interview to Glamour magazine with the whole West Mandival?
I mean, I think it's similar to, like which, again, if you're not up to date on the Summer House drama, go back 2 episodes.
Am I so oh, no.
Um, so catch up there because we don't have time to give all the context. It's too deep. But I think it's similar. I think it's a similar move to Alex. Like she was on the cover
Yeah,
of.
but do you think it was yeah, I guess she was on the cover, so
Mhm.
do you think it was, like, high value for her, or do you think she could have done something different?
I think with both of these, we're discussing controlling the narrative. And
Mhm.
Yeah,
I think that both Alex and Sierra, in their control of the narrative, are also flexing that they're above and have more clout than the people that they are feuding with. And so I think that whether or not they win these particular battles, I think interpersonally behind the scenes, Alex Cooper is seething that like
Mhm.
something was in people, and Amanda and Wes are seething that Sierra was on the cover of Glamour. Whether or not that is helping them with the narrative war remains to be seen. I wish that Sierra had something to talk about with
I know,
her Glamour thing. Like
I know.
it was such an even if it was just launching a Substack because it was with Hunter Harris, like
Mhm.
launch something. Give me some sort of call to action of how I can go support you in your next steps. But it was just kind of like more of the same. Like you're still letting
See,
Wes up with you. Like, I don't know.
That's how even the interview itself, I mean, I guess she still pushed to the reunion.
But that's not her. Like, I want her to
No,
own
no, no, that's what I
something.
mean. Like, at least, like, it felt like it was probably approved by the PR teams and, like, Bravo. And there's probably an element to this where within I'm assuming, like, within, like, the show is on right now. So, like, I'm sure that during the run of the show, you are restricted. Like, I would definitely think, like, maybe I would think in, like, in more ways than outside of a season. Um, but I agree, like, it's a bummer that there wasn't something like she could have made money somehow or whatever. I did think it was really nice. Somewhere along in the past week, Andy Cohen referred to her as the most beautiful person on Bravo. And I thought that
Mhm.
was like such a good quote. It's like, oh, he's right. She's stunning. Like she's so beautiful. And so, hopefully like the modeling element of it, of glamour and like all of that, like just continues to elevate her profile and gives her more opportunity there. But yeah, like I'm like, oh my God, sell me some swag.
I know. I know. That was our recommendation to her. We were like, she needs to start a brand. I
and date
also
and date maybe, someone like Tom Brady.
yes, and date Tom.
Or even they could have thrown together a collab with Paige. Like, just something, you
Mhm.
know?
Like a Daphne line.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like that could be coming. I wouldn't be surprised, if I saw that, and I feel like the, like, branding, it would be like they're, like, so girl code, like, them, it like, being bed bugs together. I wanna see a Peacock show following Ciara renovating the house she just bought in North Carolina. That's what I wanna see.
Well, that's cool.
I think she has a great storyline there. She bought her grandparents' house. She talked about, like, how important home ownership is, especially, like, as a Black woman and building that generational wealth. Like, she was talking about it made the other Summer House cast members emotional on her behalf, and they followed her down to North Carolina for part of the episode and, like, filmed her meeting with an architect. I was like, "You guys should just, like, film the process then." So
I feel like
maybe
she's not gonna be involved in the process.
like that.
You'll
Um,
show like away from her
Yeah.
where she,
That's gonna be her, like, looking at pictures of tile and approving, and, like, it's not gonna be her with the sledgehammer.
I do like that idea though, Emma.
I do too. I also think they could layer on, like, a dating element of some
mm,
sort where it's like, because like, the people always say, like, if you can build IKEA furniture without fighting, like, you have a strong relationship. So, like, I feel like that could be a fun thing too.
This like New York to Carolinas contingency.
it is like a definite trend, and I'm also
You
like,
should collab with Craig.
I don't know. I don't know if
Like
he would
the
like
whole
that.
living room is, yeah,
There
like
was a
showing.
rumor that Craig was dating somebody. Did you guys hear this?
Kelsey Ballerini, the
Yes.
country singer.
Yes. I
It
feel like where there's
Yeah,
smoke, there's fire on that
it's
one.
interesting, because
he would
I'm
love.
a Bravo watcher since I was way too young, but Kelsey Ballerini is in an early episode of, Southern Charm. It was when she was, like, I want to C-list. Like, she was, very much on the come up, and it was for some charity, one of their, charities they feature on that show. They were auctioning off a date with each of the male cast members, and she bid on and won a date with Craig.
No, this is definitely happening, you guys. When I heard it, I was like, "That feels true."
Yeah.
She's messy. Again, I love low stakes interpersonal drama. Like, this is what I want from my stars. Like, you be messy in this way.
Yeah, so when I heard that, I was like, "That makes sense." They, like, met on
Yes.
Bravo 10 years ago when, like, they were both, like, 25 or something. And yeah, given her, like, track record, with dating publicly, I was like, "That makes sense."
Yeah, and
Um,
I honestly I'm not a fan of Craig, but I think he's better than Chase.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, because it's like when Craig is messy, it's like, well, you're a reality star. It's your job to be messy. Jay Stokes, and like, you're an actor. Like, you don't need to be doing this on
Also, from
Instagram.
everything Paige said, it sounds like he loves to gossip. So
Oh,
I love a gossipy man.
He
I
does.
think all of the Southern Charm men, like, that's, like, their
Mhm.
Yeah,
Love it.
yeah, it's pretty funny. Okay.
6 days ago on TMZ, Kelsey Ballerini is not dating and Craig Conover dating, not so fast.
I'm telling you, where there's smoke, there's fire. Remember there were rumors about him and Kristen Cavallari, and
Mhm.
then that turned out to be true. So
Did they
they
date, those 2? I don't
they
Well,
hooked up.
very casually, yeah.
I'm not the
Um,
biggest fan of hers, but
and Paige was a fan of it because she was like, she loved like the hills and
Honestly, I feel like
the
that's
boot.
like probably part of how Craig even got her. He probably like was like overemphasized how much she was competing with Kristen.
Yeah, and she loved it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, okay, guys, this is gonna feel like a hard left turn, but our final topic.
and now we're gonna talk about AI.
Our final topic, today, this was a New York magazine